Brothers, sisters, let us speak today about following the path of Odin. Hail, Odin, Allfather, Word Wolf. I know Odin through three names: Odin, Allfather, and Word Wolf. Odin, self-explanatory. Allfather, as he's the Allfather of the gods and everything below the gods. And Word Wolf is that he is the master of speech, the master of persuasion, and the master of putting together a plan. Now, I light this main votive candle in honor of him, and I light three other ones, all directing their energy towards Odin. Now, this isn't going to be a video about how Odin will fight Fenrir and lose. It's not going to be a video about Odin's horse Sleipnir. It will not be a video about Haugen and Monin, Odin's ravens, that is thought and memory. This is going to be a video about how you, as an individual, can follow Odin's path. Now, I have many ritual implements here that I'd like to explain to you that will help you along your path. Now, these candles, these really help focus your mental capacity, but also your energy. Your internal energy can be directed towards Odin's visage. And I have this statue of Odin right here that I've used many times, and that is my main statue of Odin. It is burnt because it got burnt in a fire ritual, but I found that Odin being burnt like this is actually quite fitting because he rises like the phoenix, as we must if we're going to follow him. Now, we must be able and willing to sacrifice ourselves to ourselves. What this means is that we must be willing to sacrifice our ego to our grander spiritual being in order to follow the path of Odin. Now, I would like to say that no matter what kind of incense you like, incense is a wonderful thing that can help you focus your meditations, focus your energy, and allow you to get into an ritualistic state of mind. I use frankincense for almost anything. It increases the vibration of the room. It increases your ability to connect to higher vibrational realms, and it's just multi-purpose. Now, Mugwort is a huge thing you need to use when trying to follow Odin's path, the northern shamanistic path. Now, this Mugwort oil, which is about 4 grams, I believe, you can just kind of dip onto your finger, and you can smudge across your upper lip and right between your eyebrows. And that'll bring your consciousness forward and allow it to focus on the task at hand. Now, another Mugwort form that is used even more than oil is Mugwort in its herb form. It is a cousin of absinthe. It is not quite as hallucinatory, but it does allow you to enter a trance state if you burn it in conjunction with chanting something like Ansus, Ansus, Ansus. Ansus being Odin's rune. Ansus being the rune of calling upon the gods. The runes themselves being the fabric of reality, often called the gods of the gods. It is Midgard itself that benefits from the crisscrossing of the runes that make the fabric of reality. We happen to be in a material universe that is quite safe. It can support life. It can allow long periods of order and not have chaos intrude upon us trying to find ourselves. Midgard is really the safe zone between all the dimensions around it, but it is also the zone of the most choice. We have the Jotun below the giants, we have the Aesir above, we have the light elves above them, and we have, of course, Niflheim and Muspelheim. We have different forces. We have the forces of solidity, of torpor on one side, and we have the forces of passion, of destruction on the other. But all of these forces crisscrossing allows for the existence we know and love in Midgard, which I look at Midgard as being this material universe. Now, as I burn this Mugwort, what is often done is it is stoked by a feather. Ideally, it should be a raven's feather, but as you chant Ansus, Ansos, Ansos, Odin, 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 Alpha der, Alpha der, Alpha der, and then repeat over and over again. And you try to focus on becoming the best version of yourself. Odin is not just on a path to become better. He's becoming the best version of himself. He's becoming more than himself. He's going out of his skin. This is Odin's path. And he is on his way to find the solution to one purpose. He has one purpose that he has basically volunteered for. And that purpose that Odin has is protecting Midgard and the 9 realms from complete destruction for as long as possible. He is an adversary of destruction. He uses whatever means necessary in order to achieve this goal, in order to achieve the complete and utter safety of the 9 realms and their order for as long as possible, by conniving, by cheating, by being virtuous and not being virtuous. Whatever it takes in order for him to protect humanity and the other gods, he will do. Whether it be dealing with giants, Jotun, whether it be sacrificing his eye for the knowledge necessary. And sometimes we have to sacrifice pieces of ourselves in order to gain something else. Maybe a habit that we've held on to for quite a while, maybe an understanding that is outmoded. We often have to sacrifice these things. Now I'm going to place this mugwort right up here. Pick up the feather. And usually you want to offer mead to Odin. You want to offer a mead that maybe is harvested by bees locally. There's a particular kind of mead that I truly love that is made from the honey of bees that harvest Texas wildflowers. And you can really taste Texas in it, but Chaucer's mead is also my second favorite. At any rate, Viking blood is also great, but I usually can't afford it. But usually you want to offer mead to Odin. That is Odin's drink. But beer is a good second, and this one is not an expensive beer, but the offering itself is acknowledged and is recognized. And while Odin, hail Odin, Alfadil, word wolf. While Odin is an external being, you have to understand that you are Odin in a way. You are becoming that function for the rest of the multiverse if you choose to. If you choose to be the shaman of everyone, then you have to go through trials just like Odin did, because he is the shaman for everyone. Alright, so I want to move on to a few other things here. Now, if you are going to work with Odin, you might every now and then want to put a little cut on your hand, or maybe even a slice, in order to sacrifice some blood on top of a hill or mountain, in order to become one with that peak. Now, when you become one with a peak of a hill or mountain, it completely has to do with realizing a higher goal than just reaching that peak. You're making a commitment to reach another peak, a higher peak, and a higher peak, and a higher peak. And that sacrifice of blood is both solidifying your dedication to that particular long-term ritual, but also a sacrifice to Odin, saying that, please teach me, please show me how I can move forward in my own life. So you might want to have a particular ritual knife, ritual dagger. This is a Filipino kukri, but it is not the full-length sword. It is a dagger, obviously. But I find it is especially useful for a number of things. And, of course, I have it in a leather pouch. And I named it, and I carved that name into this blade. Now, when you name a blade and you carve the name in, it becomes an entity in and of itself. And you might want to consider naming and even carving in the name into your ritual dagger, ritual knife. And I always keep it wrapped up in a black bandana to kind of keep whatever energy that it has locked in. Now, white sage. This is useful no matter which shamanistic path you follow. We're talking about northern shamanism here. We're talking about following Odin's path. But white sage, used by the Native Americans, is very similar to mugworts and is used for almost the exact same things. And I find that it is beneficial for everyone. And just like the mugwort here that we have in this shell, you can stoke the sage using a feather and chant what have you. You might want to, if you want to get close to Frere and you're offering to Frere in a meadow, you might want to offer some bread and offer some meat in the middle of the meadow. Preferably it being the heart of the land wight. But anyway, that's another topic altogether. You can find the heart at the most attractive place of a land. But you might want to circle the meadow and chant Ingles, 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 Frere, God of the harvest, fertility, and peace. Ingles, Ingles, Ingles. And then you repeat again and again and again, trying to attune yourself to that particular force. And you can do very similar things with Odin. But with Odin, you have to find a more conscious-oriented part of a land, really the brain of the land. But that's a very vast topic, and we're not going to get into that. What I do want to talk about next is the runes. You cannot really understand Odin and work with him unless you have a good understanding of the runes. The Elder Futhark is what I use. The Elder Futhark, in my opinion, is the best runic set. It is the best representation of the fabric of reality. The different runes are the different primordial spirits. They're not just symbols, they are primordial spirits that existed even before the gods that interlaced in order to make this canvas upon which we live. Now, I always keep mine in a black velvet bag. I used to keep it in canvas, but it didn't seem to contain the power enough. Now, these runes I have made myself, and they're from a branch that I cut from a tree, and then I basically sawed the pieces of wood after letting it dry. I sawed the pieces of wood into 24 segments, and after I did that, I carved and / burned the runes into every single one of these. Then I put a little bit of my blood on them, and then I painted them red. Now, red is a very powerful color in in runic circles. It is the color of passion, of dedication, and of familiarity. It is the color of strength, and really, that's why you should paint your runes red if they're made out of wood. If you have the opportunity to paint them to where they won't look weird. If they're black stone, you don't want to paint them. But please consider learning about the Elder Futhark, and very much consider making your own set. Now, that leads me into a couple other things. These are some books that I would highly recommend. Now, this seems like a big stack. This is only a tiny section of what you might want, but we'll go through them very quickly. Havamal. I have a pocket Havamal here, which you can buy on Amazon. Actually, all these books you can buy on Amazon, but pocket Havamal. The Havamal is written, far after Odin started to be worshipped, but started to be recognized. But it has what I think is Odin-inspired speech in here. Ideally speaking, it is Odin's words themselves, but I think that at the very least, they are Odin-inspired. And they exist in stanzas. Every single page has, a few stanzas on it. Now, one stanza might be, let me just randomly flick through this. So, let's go to Odin's rune poem. This is 140 of the stanzas. I know that I hung on a windswept tree 9 whole nights with a spear wounded, and to Odin offered myself to myself. On that tree of which no one knows from what root it springs. 141. Bread no one gave me, nor a horn of drink. Downward I peered, to runes applied myself. Wailing, learnt them, then fell down thence. 142. Potent songs, 9 from the famed son I learned of Bolthorn, Bestla's sire, and a draught obtained of the precious mead, drawn from Odreir. My pronunciation is not great. I'll read one more. 143. Then I began to bear fruit, and to know many things, to grow and well thrive. Word by word, I sought out words. Fact by fact, I sought out facts. So these are the words of Odin, in my opinion, or at least Odin inspired at the very least, and that's the Havamal. This is a pocket Havamal. Now, another author you might want to consider is Raven Kaldera. Raven Kaldera is a wonderful northern shaman that has many books. This one is Weird Walkers, and it has to do with runes. and really connecting to spirits that are both of the Jotun and the gods and the different beings within the Nordic pantheon. Now, the spirits in this are not ones that you've normally heard about. There are spirits that are usually associated with the earth or associated with the sea, and ones that are very specifically oriented to a particular aspect of the sea, like the tides or like the crashing upon the rocks. And once you start to understand the different aspects and different spirits associated with these very specific parts of a land, a sea, a place, an air, a sky, you start to realize that you can manifest these things for yourself, in yourself, and manifest results based on connecting to these different spirits. A lot of the time we'll be contacting Jotun, the giants, but that is not necessarily, they're not necessarily evil. We don't have the understanding of evil like Christians do. Anyway, we're moving on to Odin's Way in the Modern World by Weiland Scala Grimson. Weiland Scala Grimson is a wonderful Nordic author. He writes very intelligently. He's the one that I learned the name Wordwolf from for Odin, and since I've learned that name of Odin, I've been very much helped in my speech. It's been almost drastic. Now, Odin's Way in the Modern World, I would suggest getting this. This is a small book, but it really helps you to understand Odin and how you can apply Odinic principles to your life, be a shaman of Odin, even in the modern world. There might be certain martial arts you can learn about. I really tore this book up. I put in a whole bunch of tabs, and I put notes all throughout it. That's the best compliment you can give to a book, is to just write notes everywhere and put post-it notes everywhere. Now, you might find a Sigil of the Raven. You might find, I'm just reading my notes here, Wild Odin, Different Odinsmen, Volsung's Heart. These are different topics within this book. And I remember all of it, but I have to be reminded by the tabs because it's just been a while since I read it. But we'll look up Weiland Scala Grimson. Now, Putting on the Wolf Skin. This is also by Weiland Scala Grimson, and this is basically how to be an Ulfhednar, which is a berserker, but with it's like a wolf form. And you start to learn about the nervous system and how pairing the sympathetic and the parasympathetic sides of the nervous system allow you to become one with the moment and manifest the last thought you had. I mean, that's just a little bit of what's in here, but it's very well researched. It's very well written, and I highly recommend this author once again, Weiland Scala Grimson. And this is invaluable for understanding the runes and Odin and just a lot of things in the Nordic shamanistic path, because the runes, like I said, are crisscrossed in order to make the fabric of reality. This is the best book on the runes that I've ever found, the Elder Futhark, and it's called Futhark, A Handbook of Rune Magic by Edred Thorson. Now, you'll find a lot of books by Edred Thorson in heathen literature and in heathen circles, but you can find all of those books on Amazon once again. I will show you one page of a rune. It basically gives the different pronunciations of the rune, the different ways of saying it, the ideographic understanding of the rune, and then it gives you a real good summary as well as what it's associated with in reality. Then it shows you how to chant the rune and how to form your body into that rune to help you work with more physical manifestations of the craft and really allow yourself to become one with that rune. Now, I think that is it. I have quite a few things on this tier system I have here. If you ever make a totem and you forget what it's for, bury it. This is an example that I should have buried a long time ago because I forgot what this is for. Bury it. And another thing, if you're chanting a rune, or if you're chanting different Odin's names based on what you're trying to manifest, or you're just meditating on Odin and you're sitting in your posture, you can regularly hit the bell every so often as you breathe in and out slowly, keeping your back straight, sitting down on a cushion. Nice even breaths. You don't have to have the bell. But meditation is very important for runes and working with Odin, because to understand how to meditate, even finding your own way to meditate, is to be able to really find the threads of your being that you can follow back and really control who you are, and eventually control reality and understand reality most certainly. At any rate, I think that's all I have for you today. I hope this has been interesting. I hope that you've learned a little bit more about following Odin's path. That was my intention for this video. I wasn't able to get into everything that I know about this, but it would take many videos for that. At any rate, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, shoot it in the comment section below on YouTube. If you want to contact me and ask more specific questions, feel free to go to the comment section and I'll answer you. Or you can follow me on Facebook at www.facebook.com/hunter.salazar. And of course, you can follow me on Patreon at www.patreon.com/darkrealist, capital D, capital R. If you follow me on Patreon, I'd greatly appreciate $1 a month. It helps me produce more content, more videos, and really get whatever message you want out there related to spirituality that I know about out there. So feel free to contact me on Facebook, and feel free to follow me and just donate just $1 a month on Patreon. And I'd greatly appreciate it. At any rate, thank you very much for watching, and I hope all of you have a great day. Hail Odin, Al Fadil, Wood Wolf.